Just to give some more details on what's going on with the elections that are taking place. Here's some information on the outcome of elections. One thing I want to point out before I dig into these statistics is that all of those numbers are based on just raw filings. So theoretically, any union could go and file a representation petition. If, for example, they don't have at least 30% support, then that would likely get dismissed very quickly. Um, Usually that doesn't happen. Unions know they need to have that support, but there are many other reasons why petitions end up getting dismissed or withdrawn for some reason and never resulting in an election. Likewise, on the decertification side, there are many reasons why an employee goes and says, I don't want a union, but for some reason, the NLRB cannot at that point in time process an election. So, what does that mean? That we look a little further for representation elections, about 75% of the time that a representation election petition is filed, will there actually be an election? So, about three-fourths of the time there's an election, a quarter of the time, for whatever reason, there's not an election. Once there is an election, the unions win a majority of the elections, but when you factor out the number of cases that get dismissed or withdrawn without an election for some reason, it's about half of the total filings result in a union being recognized. On the decertification side, they're more likely to get dismissed. I think you could probably fairly assume that a large part of that is because you have usually individual employees filing rather than unions. They're less likely to know all the parameters of when to file and how to file. So only about 60% of decertification petitions end up in an actual election being held. Again, unions lose a majority of decertification elections. Kind of makes sense that if you're the one filing, you're more likely to win. So if the employees are filing to get rid of the union and there is an election, the union's going to lose a majority of the time, but overall, only about 35%, about a third of decertification election petitions result in unions being voted out.